Whirling blades. We have an A and a B variation, and they kind of are a mishmash of two other techniques that we've already learned. The first thing that we learn is arcing blades, technique number 21 in blue, and then we learn whirling warrior, which is technique number 4 in green. So you may remember in whirling warrior C, there was 2 opponents, or we noticed the second opponent, so we don't spin all the way around. That's what's happening here, but it's giving us an answer for the second opponent, who may throw for A, a right straight punch at us from 6 o'clock, or B, the left hook from 6 o'clock. So we'll break those down now. So in the A variation, what's happening is the first opponent from 12 o'clock is throwing the right straight punch. As that happens, I step forward with my left foot towards 11:30. My left hand does a left inward block towards my partner's arm, and the right hand is loading high in a fist. I'm pivoting into a forward bow, and I'm doing a Kenpo punch, aka a slashing knuckle through the ribs at this point here. So I'm spinning through at that point, doing a 180 to chop my opponent's ribs here, noticing the second opponent at this side. So a quick review of that again. The right punch comes in, I step out with my left and block with my left. Right hand is loaded high. It turns to a guard as I pivot into my forward bow, and I do my slashing knuckle to my opponent's floating ribs. With that, I hit slightly first, pivot through, and chop towards the floating ribs for 2 strikes. Now our second opponent, which we're going to magically transport Jen to B. So I've just chopped this person here, and in the A version, it's exactly like arcing blades technique number 21 from blue. So the person at 6 o'clock now is throwing the right straight punch. It doesn't really matter which foot is forward, because we could either kick to the groin or the knee, whatever is more available. I do an inward block with my right hand and a right front snap kick. I land forward, my right chop to their right carotid artery, and my left chop follows through. I'm into a forward bow with that second chop. I come back to my fighting stance, I elbow straight up, I heel palm the bridge of the nose and claw, also known as a tiger's claw. So quite literally 2 techniques we should already know. We have whirling warrior C, and then we have arcing blades A. Now in the B variation, it's the exact same start. So if my partner comes to 12 o'clock again, right straight punch, I come in, I do my inward block, left foot forward, right hand is loaded high. It turns to a guard as I pivot and smash into the ribs with that slashing knuckle. I pivot through, chop the floating ribs. Now the second opponent that I just noticed like this is throwing their left hook at my temple. So I'm not stepping, there's not enough space. I'm pivoting my body to do my right extended outward block to the inside of their left hand, and my left hand comes to guard. Now I'm throwing my right side snap kick towards their knee, and it feels like you'd want to cross out here, but the other opponent would be on your back. So from here, once I block and hit, I may choose to come out the opposite way if I want to add a cross out. And that's whirling blades, A and B.
Whirling blades, A and B. B is a new addition to the manual, and when I get to the last part of this technique, I'll get a little bit more explicit of why we had to put this in. As I explained in the technique flowing hands, the worst fight situation I can have is to face an opponent from front and back. If I turn into this opponent, I can't see this one. I don't care if this man is Godzilla. I have to take my chances with the opponent that I can see. Also, notice my first movement from here. I'll take it without a partner. Notice as I'm stepping out, we use our classic scimitar block. Notice the right hand as it comes back. Not only is it blocking, from here it's cocking. I don't know if the opponent is grabbing my shoulder. I don't know if he's punching. But for instance, I'm simply going to have Travis step in with a punch. At least I want to be moving away from the opponent's if I'm hit, it won't be as bad. At the same time, what I'd like to do on this particular thing as I'm stepping is to use a clearing movement, because we're going to cock the hand anyway. When we're practicing now, and you have your partner, I'll put Travis in the center on this one from here. I want Travis to just step out and do the classic scimitar block. Go ahead. Notice that I'm grabbing with the left hand, so when Travis blocks from here, he catches the inside of the arm. Take it very slowly. What I don't want to do, for someone not to be paying attention, you step out and you're grabbing with the right hand, and it's going to come directly against the elbow. Back to the original movement again. So when you're teaching this to a student, it should be taught in the two phases. I'll have Travis simply grab the shoulder from here. I'll step out, do the classic scimitar block, making sure we're clearing. At the same time now, as Ken steps in, pivot off, from here, do the double block. The next movement from here we had in the earlier phase up from here, which is our whirling blades. At this particular point, then what I want to do is to use the raking movement across the opponent that's in front, pivot 180 degrees and face the opponent from behind. Basically, all we're doing is taking a combination of two techniques you've already had from here, which are going to be our whirling warrior, the C version, and arcing blades, putting them together. We'll take it slow. So you're moving from here. One, I could care less what the opponent does behind. I want to pivot, come around to this position. Notice, I'm chopping from here, but it's just equally important. This right hand has to come up to cover. And this is going to be a problem that caused us to get into the B version. From this position then, as Travis comes in with the classic, we've already had it, the kick block, the double chop, the elbow, and the claw. One more time now. So you're moving from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Coming to the B version, the A part is identical. What I'll do is simply go through the first part and explain the problem we have inherent from here with this technique. The movement again, 1, 2. I've made the assumption now from here that the opponent is going to throw with the right hand. Okay. Notice what I have to do then. To get in the arcing blades, the hand has to be brought all the way to this position. Okay. On the other hand, let's make the assumption that the man did not throw, he threw a left hand. Now, by the time I get this hand around to do any blocking, it's going to be too late. Why bother? At that point, we simply use the extended outward block and a simultaneous thrust kick, which makes it even more effective than the A version. Take the A version once again, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The B version, what I will do on this particular one, I will simply throw the thrust kick past the opponent. So you're moving from here. 1, 2, 3, and a block. Whirling blades, A and B. B version is a new addition to the manuals. I pointed out from here in detail when we had two opponents. You may have a situation from here where you're not able to get the right hand up in position quick enough to come across on an inward block, and this is particularly true when the opponent is throwing the left hand. The technique is actually quite simple, not in the fact it's a simple technique, but by laying out the manuals, you've already learned the two component parts of it. The first part from here, A version, is the C version, the whirling warrior. Then going back to blue belt from here, arcing blades is used against the second opponent. Putting the two moves together, in this particular case from here, directly into the camera. If you'll visualize from here, both opponents are punching on a straight line. Once again, since my back is to the first opponent, I move away from the first punch. The left is a primary block. The right hand is doing two things. It's clearing my head from behind. At this point also, from here, is put in a cocking position to strike. Your motion from here against the first opponent. The punch is coming in, stepping to the outside, the pivot, the block. At this point then, I rake through from here, simply the C version of the whirling warrior, come to this position. Notice the inherent problem in this particular one, to defend against the first opponent, the right hand has to be in this position. This is fine as long as we have plenty of time to get to the second opponent, but we don't, we go to the B version, which I'll explain later. Against the second opponent then, the right hand has to be caught from here. So we go into the arcing blades against the punch. I use the inward block simultaneously. I use the kick to the groin. As I climb down, I chop from here with the right hand to the right side of the opponent's neck, cocking the left hand, continuous movement from here to gain maximum power. I twist and drop into a soft bow. The left hand to get maximum power on the left chop, come back to a square horse. The elbow comes underneath the opponent's jaw, and the claw from here back to the face. Taking this technique now, the 90-degree reversal to the camera, opponent front and back, 1, 2. Notice the transition move I make from here. The kick block is I drop the right hand drops with the right power of the chop, the left hand cocks, maximum power. From here, I drop to the soft bow, chopping with the left hand to exactly the same spot I chopped to with the right hand. Come back up, elbow underneath the opponent's jaw, and claw back to the opponent's face. Take it again now. This is the best angle on this one. Against the two opponents, the A version. 1, 2, 3, 4, elbow and claw. Using the same angle, again from here, I'll now put us in a position where it becomes necessary from here to use the B version. As a matter of fact, B version is a better version from here no matter what punch the opponent is throwing. Against the first opponent, the technique remains identical. 1, 2. We have the inherent problem now. Let's assume one of two things has happened. The first thing that can go wrong here is that the right hand, being in this position because I have to shield against the opponent's other arm from here, is the right hand came in quicker than I thought. Therefore, the hand's coming quicker, there's no way in the world, in this particular case, I'm going to have time to bring the right hand up. Or worse than that, if the left hand is being thrown from here, I won't have time. Let me reverse the direction so you can see the application at this particular point. Since I'm in this position against the right or the left hand, the quickest block I have is the extended outward block. I could care less. If it's a right hand, I block the right hand. I'm in a natural position, I block the left. Also, from here, it's much more effective movement from here because what I'm able to do at this particular point is come all the way off the back foot now from here. Not with just a snap kick from here, but a full side thrust kick. So your motion from here on the B version that I turn into it is from here very simple, very effective from here. The extended outward block, either against the right or the left hand, you pivot forward. Side thrust kick to the opponent's rib cage. I want to now repeat B version directly in the camera, but to do this, two opponents, I'll have to take the first opponent from here, from the other angle. I guess the first opponent, 1, 2. From this position and against either hand, of course, it works best from here. If it's the left hand, it gives you a little bit more time, opens the rib cage a little bit better. Thrust kick, the extended outward block simultaneously to the front. What I want to do now is to take both A and B from here, take them from the two different angles from here so you can see the relationship to both the first and the second opponent. Your movement from here, the A version. 1, 2, the arcing blades, the kick block, the double chop, the elbow, and the claw. The B version now. 1, 2, from here, the extended outward block, from here, and the side thrust kick. Same techniques now, reversing the direction so you can see the final movement into the camera. The A version. Arcing blades. B version. Using the mass attack, once again, the B version was added actually for two reasons. It's also needed from here in the number 8 kata. But more than that, it was needed from here to cover a flaw that existed in one technique because of the right hand covering in position, the use from here of the quickest block possible, the extended outward. With the opening of this particular block, the logical extension from here of using a side thrust kick.